On this special Film for Thought Friday, we are going to be looking at the French film Trou, or what is translated into in English, The Hole. And we're also going to talk about the act of betrayal and how betrayal affects all of us. So stay tuned and listen here on the Scott Stedman Podcast. Good morning, everybody. It is September 12th, 2014. Today we're going to be doing a Film for Thought Friday, but before I get into our film for today, just have a couple of announcements. Obviously, it's been a couple of weeks since I've last done a podcast, and the reason why that is because my wife delivered our son on August 30th. His name is Peter. We're very excited to have him as part of our family. Obviously, for those of you who have kids and have newborns, they take up a lot of your time and energy, which is one of the main reasons why this podcast has been delayed a little bit. But I'm glad to have some time to get away from the child while he's sleeping, to be able to do a podcast on the film Trou. Now, Trou, which hopefully I'm saying that right. Again, I'm not French, so I don't know if I'm saying this name right or not, is a wonderful prison break movie. The last French film that talked about prison break would have been The Grand Illusion, which is one of my favorite films. Just find it very... such a very good, powerful film, and it's one of those films that was one of the Criterion Collection's first films that they put out, and it's also one that is no longer available. It's out of print, so who knows, maybe with the new technology with Blu-ray, maybe they will re-release this show, because it is, again, this movie is such a great movie. But we're going to look at Trou, which was directed by Jacques Becker, and it's actually based off a novel by Jose Giovanni. And this film is very good because it basically takes a look at these inmates who are serving a long sentence term in jail, and there ends up being a new inmate that joins him, and the reason why this inmate joins him is because he wounded his wife with a shotgun. So because of that, he is now in prison with these four guys, and throughout this whole movie, you just see just the careful planning on how these guys plan to escape prison. And it was very interesting because, like, when we think of prison break movies, we may think of The Shawshank Redemption, where in that film you kind of know more about the characters and about Andy Dufresne. And eventually, you know, when he escapes, it just kind of goes back and you get to see, like, bits and pieces. And the whole escape process you see is, like, within 10 or 15 minutes. In this film, basically the whole entire film, which the film runs about 2 hours long, and besides, like, the quick introduction and anything else in this film, you really are watching the process from getting the tools to the planning on how they're going to escape to even some obstacles. There's this time where they're actually in the sewer systems, and they know that there's this one part where the sewer actually leads out into the street and you can get out, and there was like this concrete wall that was separating them from some of the other tunnels underneath the prison. And they were able to find out that one was made with great material and the other wall was made with crappy material. So you just see like days and days of them like pounding and breaking this crappy concrete to kind of get around the new concrete so that they can finally find this tunnel for them to escape. And then here's where the spoiler happens. So if you want to watch this movie, you might as well just turn off my podcast. But then the spoiler happens is that we start to see this young person, the new person that joined these four long sentence inmates, and he is he's called back into the warden's office, and he's asking him, well, tell me what happened with the shooting of your wife. And he was saying how, they got into a fight, and she had a shotgun and pointed at him, and she fired, and apparently she fired it wrong or something, so she ended up hurting herself. So he never actually harmed her. It was more of she harmed herself, but then it was pinned on him, but then they were making up and everything else. Well, then obviously there's some speculation that maybe this guy ratted out the whole escape process, and so there was a little bit of betrayal and arguments and fighting within the five in this jail cell about what's happening. And then we see the day of that they're about to escape. A couple people going down into the hole to try to escape, that they were digging out, and then one guy had a mirror and looked and saw like this whole army of policemen right there, and then they knew that they were betrayed, and one guy tries to choke out the new inmate, but the fight was able to break up, and obviously those four inmates were basically in trouble and put into a new jail cell. And then the fifth person was moved to a different jail cell, and then he's actually the one who, beginning of the movie, talks about how he escaped from prison, and he's the one who's telling this story. And when I watched this movie, I was thinking about betrayal and how betrayal hurts. And when we think about betrayal, it's really, we always think of betrayal as, one person hurting another person. And I believe that is true. Obviously, if we think of someone who is having an affair and they're cheating on their spouse, that can cause, that's a betrayal. And that's usually one person causing that hurt through that betrayal. And obviously, like we see in this film. But I also think sometimes betrayal can be a two-way street sometimes. And when obviously with all my times I've counseled people and everything else, I've usually started to see, especially in relationships with couples who are dating, engaged, or even married, that there seems to be some type of betrayal that happens between two parties. And it's not until when something big happens where we start to point the blame at one person for the betrayal. Obviously, if we look at, again, going back to the relationships, we really see how sometimes one person may neglect a need or a want in someone's life. Obviously, there's a lot of books out there. Obviously, there's like the 5 Love Languages by Gary Chapman, and then there is a book called His Needs, Her Needs by William Harley. And those are great books that really talk about when you are in a relationship with someone, how sometimes they have these a certain love language, or they have these core needs that need to be met. And sometimes when you're not meeting them, whether it's on accident or whether you're doing it on purpose. For an example, let's say one of the person's need is recreation companionship, means they like to go out, they like to do stuff. Well, let's just say it's the fall and the wife likes to go out and do walking with her family or running, and the husband says, hey, it's Sunday, I'm going to sit at home and watch football all day. Even though my favorite team doesn't play on Monday, I'm going to sit and watch football on Sunday. Now, does he need to sit and watch football from 9 o'clock in the morning for the pre-show to the pre-show to all the afternoon games to Sunday night football? Does he need to be there from, like, let's say 8 o'clock in the morning till 11 o'clock at night watching football? No, there's really no reason for that. But he, again, is neglecting a need. And in a way, knowing that this was something important to me, or to the wife, saying, hey, I like to go on walks and you are too busy watching football, the spouse knowingly knows all that and decides not going to do anything about it is a betrayal. It's a little bit of a betrayal, but it's a little bit of a betrayal that starts to set the plans in motion to cause people to have an affair. One example in particular is there was a couple that I was counseling years ago. And actually, I never got to see the spouse or the husband. I only got to see the wife. And discussing and talking about it, what ended up happening is that there was a family crisis that happened. That wasn't a big deal. It was a big deal to them. It wasn't anything like a relationship thing. It was more of like a child got into a car accident, and it just caused a lot of emotions. And because of that, one spouse, the wife in particular, went into a depression. So all the stuff that she would do that the husband appreciated, like setting up appointments, taking the dogs in, or having this confidence, all went away. And it was like that for 5 years, and that's when the crack started to set, which caused him to go and start looking for love somewhere else. And discussing with my client, she said that she wanted to make the relationship work. So we developed a plan, and one of the things was, try to better yourself. Try to get back to the person that was making the appointments. And I mean, you don't have to make that big jump because it's been 5 years, but slowly start to progress. And in the meantime, here are some things you can do to try to help build up your relationship with your husband. And we've met for probably about good 8 sessions. And then we no longer had to see each other anymore, because it got to the point where her husband basically fell in love with his wife, the person that he married, and wanted to be back with her and basically forsake the other woman that he was seeing. And actually, I was at an event, and I happened to run into this client, and she said, everything has been well, and we have you to thank for that. And I just thought that was very nice, because, you see this act of betrayal that happened, that really, when betrayal happens, it seems like there is no path to reconciliation when a betrayal happens. It is done, it's dead in the water, and that's it. But I believe that if we truly want to reconcile any relationship or any type of act of betrayal that happened in our lives, that it can happen. For some people, it may be a difficult journey, and for some people, if both parties are willing to work, they can. But reconciliation can happen, despite even the biggest betrayals. So I think that's something to think about. Maybe some of you who are listening right now may have had some type of mini betrayal or a big betrayal that happened in your life, and maybe you're still suffering the repercussions from that. And maybe the other person suffering the repercussions of that as well. One thing I've always noticed about betrayal is that it always affects both people. Even though it may not seem like it, you can see like one person may be upset and sad and crying, and you can see the other person's kind of like emotionless, has a hard heart, and everything like that. But when we really start to discuss things, we really find out that, especially the person who's in the guilty party, they already feel guilty that they did the betrayal already. And they feel guilty, they feel shame, they feel sad. And because of that, because we don't want to feel those type of emotions, we begin to harden ourselves, we harden our hearts, and then we end up make excuses for our betrayal. Like, well, it's your fault. If you would have not done this, then I wouldn't have done this. And it really, again, it goes back. If you really want reconciliation from a betrayal, either one person really has to persevere and fight hard for that reconciliation, or both people have to work hard and fight for that reconciliation. And it is possible. It's difficult, but it is possible. So again, if you feel like that maybe you've been betrayed, by somebody or something and you need reconciliation, seek help. Search that. And, at the end of the day, there may not be a reconciliation, but at least you may have some closure, and at least that's going to help you be able to better yourselves and continue on the road to recovery. All right, so that's all the time I have for today. Hopefully you enjoyed listening to this podcast. Hopefully I will have a podcast a little bit more frequently, but again, with my newborn baby, it doesn't seem like that may be the case, but I'm hoping that I'm able to do more podcasts for your listening pleasure. All right, you guys have a great day, and I will talk to you later. Bye.